As more money flows into digital assets such as Bitcoin, is it time for more regulation? And should you invest? Joining me now, the CEO of cryptocurrency asset manager Grayscale, Michael Sonnenschein. Thanks so much for joining us, Michael. I really appreciate it as we head into this long weekend. Look, very quickly, I want to just explain what Grayscale is. In short, you're a digital currency asset manager. You create products that allow people to invest in Bitcoin and other digital assets. Is that about right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
There are countless examples now of fund families and product families that facilitate access to equities, bonds, fixed income currencies. In the case of Grayscale, we've built out 15 different investment products that give investors exposure to digital currencies. So very squarely focused on that part of the investment universe.
So I want to start with what I constantly hear from skeptics. You know, Bitcoin has no earnings, no intrinsic value. People just buy it because they think someone else tomorrow is going to be willing to pay more for it. What's wrong with that analysis?
Well, I think when an investor is thinking about whether or not Bitcoin is right for them, and it's certainly not going to be right for all investors, they usually find something that really resonates with them, whether they think Bitcoin is perhaps a digital gold and maybe a replacement for bonds or other areas that they may go to when their portfolio is turbulent, or they think of Bitcoin as perhaps the next evolution in payments or in money, or perhaps they're even excited about the underlying blockchain technology. But ultimately, you are right in that Bitcoin does not have cash flows, and many of the same metrics that investors may use to value a lot of the investments they typically invest in may not be applicable yet to Bitcoin.
Okay. Another thing we hear, Bitcoin obviously designed to be free from government interference. That's a feature, not a bug. On the other hand, criminals using it for ransoms. Small investors could lose their shirts, maybe not in Bitcoin, but with some kind of a sham coin. Do you think there's room for some intelligent regulation here to sort of bring it more into the mainstream of financial assets?
I really appreciate the question because it couldn't be further from the truth. Because of the underlying technology, which is called blockchain, that monitors and records all transactions taking place in Bitcoin and many other digital currencies, there's actually a verifiable, undisputed record of every transaction that takes place. So it is, in fact, probably the worst mechanism possible for someone to use if they're doing something nefarious or illegal, or that they don't want government eyes prying on. And so, unfortunately, that's a narrative that once plagued Bitcoin, but as the ecosystem has matured, that's certainly not something that is happening today, where you do see that in cash and other forms of payment.
That's probably why the government was able to get a little bit back from that pipeline thing. I want to pivot to a potential opportunity for investors here. I was talking to Rick Edelman yesterday. He's a fan of digital assets, and we were talking about the fact that the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is a closed-end fund, or at least similar to one, in that, and I don't think investors always understand this, the NAV, the price of your fund, can differ from the underlying assets. At the moment, it's about a 16% discount, which means you're paying 84 cents in the dollar for Bitcoin. If you convert, as you plan to do, to an ETF, suddenly you'd own that thing at par. You know, you'd make 16 cents for every dollar you invested, assuming the price stays the same, which it won't. But can you explain this opportunity?
So the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which is ticker GBTC, is the world's largest Bitcoin investment vehicle. Countless investors own GBTC to get exposure to Bitcoin right in their brokerage account, could be their IRA, 401k, you name it. And it's a really easy way to get exposure to Bitcoin without having to buy Bitcoin directly. The fund itself just holds Bitcoin, so that's what gives the shares its value. And to the point you've made, Jack, discussing with Rick, is that the price of the fund that trades as GBTC every day can and does often vary from the net asset value. And so $1 invested today into buying GBTC at a discount would actually cause an investor to own or control more Bitcoin through that investment than if they were just buying Bitcoin in the spot market. Hence why Rick and others look at it opportunistically, given that GBTC does trade at a discount. And to your other point, we are also 100% committed to converting GBTC into an ETF, in which that would converge towards net asset value, the way that we see those arbitrage mechanisms inherent in ETFs.
And Gary Gensler, the SEC chairman, implied that the SEC is at least looking at this, and it may very well happen. One more quick question. We're almost out of time, but there's been a lot of talk about, of course, the energy use required to mine Bitcoin. It used to be, you and I could do it at home with a PC, or at least you could.
Sure.
And now it's, I think the statistic I saw was that the annual electricity use by the nation of Finland is less than is used to mine Bitcoin.
So this is a narrative that has taken center stage throughout 2021, and it stands to reason that this is an opportunity for our industry. Bitcoin mining is intensive when it comes to energy consumption, but miners have increasingly been going towards renewable energy sources really as a competitive advantage, because that energy cost is in fact the edge that they may have in what is a very competitive landscape amongst Bitcoin miners. And so over time, I'm certainly of the belief that Bitcoin mining will continue to be increasingly sustainable, and energy consumption will come down as the industry matures.
Michael Sonnenschein, thank you so much. It's going to be fascinating to watch your industry. I think we're going to see a lot more of it in the coming years.